well. Um, I'll tell more about the my high school in a moment. Uh, I guess moving on. So you coach the U14s, right? You coach kids under U14.
Yep.
How do you prep a kid to go to high school and just prepare as well, and also maintain, his travel team as well? How do you get
Hmm.
kids like that ready for that
Yeah.
situation?
So this is my fifth year of coaching since graduating, and every year I've been with either between 13, 14, and 15. I've been with about the same age group every year. So it's a very interesting time in the kids' lives, like now that I'm realizing as coaching and even growing up, it's just like such a big transition between that Bantam year to the midget year. It's a huge transition developmentally, like physically for the kids, and then also like their play style. Like it's crazy how much better some of these kids have gotten in the last 2 years. Just seeing them play at 16s and 18s now from kids that I've coached in the past, but getting them prepared for high school is also such an interesting thing because the way USA hockey is, and the way it is in our Atlantic district, and I'm sure it's the same in Maryland, there's not really a cohesive approach to kids being able to play high school and be able to play travel at the same time. Like either way, kids are going to have to miss one or the other the way it is. Um, so it's tough for the kids to balance that schedule because they are on the ice 6, 7 times a week, and it's tough because they're busy with their homework, they're busy playing for two teams, and they're going from high school practice to travel practice and then trying to do homework late at night. It's not an easy thing. So I just kind of try to teach the kids a little bit about their time management and just learning how to prepare themselves for school and for hockey, and just like making sure that they're ready when they come to the rink, they're ready when they go to school, they're ready when they're at their games, they're ready when they're at practice. Because like I tell them, like as you get further along into high school, it only gets tougher with your schoolwork and balancing more travel for hockey. So it is a tough thing, but I mean I think ultimately like the it has to be a change that comes from USA Hockey and the district that makes it a lot easier for kids to manage both teams at the same time.
Um, okay. Here's what I was. Here's a funny thing that actually is weird. So I was still playing special hockey for the Montgomery Cheetahs. I was on both the JV team and the varsity team.
Hmm.
Now, on the JV team, I actually scored a goal and got some points. Uh,
Hmm.
we didn't have 10 games. I forgot how many there were. We actually, I think I still wound up with like a +7 out of all of that. But,
Not a big deal. Just
but,
padding your stats, getting
but
the pluses.
but here's the thing is that I was benched as a defenseman. I think like I wish I came in as a forward, and I think that was probably the one thing that I
Hmm.
regret too. But I played on technically three teams, so I had to do the JV team,
Hmm.
the varsity team, even though we were all in the same practice together. But I even
Yeah.
had Saturday morning practice at 7 a.m. back in the day,
Hmm.
and my old man drove me. So there was that.
And that's what and that's what kids on my team are experiencing right now, because a lot of these kids are going to private schools where it's very difficult to make the varsity team until you're in usually 11th or 12th grade. Like some of these schools have really good hockey programs now, so a lot of these kids on my team are playing JV and varsity, so they're really playing for three teams and they're just exhausted. And I think that hurts development and hurts their playing ability a little bit because they're not playing the same style. They're tired and they're not being like they're not able to put their full energy in. But like another thing that you were like you just asked me about preparing them to play in high school or preparing them to take the next step in their hockey career. I think also is like having them advocates for their own development and their own games, just being comfortable talking to myself, other coaches, their high school coaches, because I know like when I was their age, I was a little bit timid in talking to different coaches or um, asking about playing time or asking about different scenarios. So I just want to like make sure the kids know that I'm open to talking to them as well, and they should be comfortable having those conversations as well, because that helps their development, because you're not with them every day. You don't know exactly what these kids are thinking or how they're developing. So just being your own advocate it will helps them get a lot better also.
Speaking of being an advocate, I was a bit foolish this one time. We were in a varsity exhibition game, oddly enough, and I did decently. And I asked him, when do I get to go out? And then it's like because yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, isn't it?
No, it's not embarrassing. It's just funny. Like asking them. No, it's not embarrassing at all.
Be, because I don't think I was not clear on that. There was no lines,
Hmm.
and but I did get a chance, and I did perform decently as well. And it
Yeah,
was just an exhibition game, but I think I think it's like the one thing is that no one wants to ride the bench, but
yeah,
and and I think had um my coach prepped not the bench players a little more and actually gave us a little more freedom as well,
hmm,
uh, it would have been much better. So, um, how do you deal with bench players and also do you let them in on a shift or two and just ease your ease some of the
yeah,
starters or the second liners?
yeah. So I mean, on my teams and all the teams that I've coached, I really try not to have kids that are riding the bench, because as long as they're putting the effort in, I'm gonna give them time. And for the most part, like for our teams, like we don't have an 18 skater roster of 4 lines and 6 defensemen. So there isn't really a need to sit guys on the bench. And I feel like across the board, like my team is pretty even right now in terms of skill level. It just depends on who's playing and who's not playing. I think that's how it should be as you're getting to higher levels. It's like if you're not playing a good game, then maybe you're not going to get as much ice time. But if you're on the third line, but you're playing great this game, then you're going to play a ton of minutes. And that's what I try to tell the kids also is when you're on the bench, or maybe you're not getting power play time, or you're not getting penalty kill time, and you're not out there the last minute of the game when we're trying to save a 1 goal lead, or we're trying to score at the end of the game, it's how you react and how are you being a good teammate for those guys. Like, are you being positive for those guys that are on the ice, or are you sitting at the end of the bench pouting your head? So like that stuff as a coach makes a huge difference. And I think for kids get into the next level, it also makes a huge difference. Just like being that teammate that everybody wants to have on your team. And it just makes it so much easier for coaches to coach you, so much easier for you to develop if you're having that positive attitude, like knowing you're going to get your chance, being positive for your teammates. And like that's such a hard thing to teach. And I think that elevates like good players from great players, just being able to have that other side of your game, that mental side, and just being able to talk through some of these other issues. I think that that helps out so much in a kid's development, because it's not an easy thing to learn, or it's not an easy thing that every kid has innate within them. So that's something that if a kid's not playing, like I try to talk to them and let them know um, how they can kind of be more positive for their teammates, or how they can help the team out in other ways other than being on the ice.
Being positive is a key thing, and I actually like silly me, um, like during like I guess during my break after AP psychology class or whatever, decided to write a speech for my
Yeah.
team so we could beat Wooten. And
Okay.
we didn't beat Wooten, but god damn it did they like that speech because I wanted to be
I would like to
inspirational
hear that speech sometime.
and 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 I wanted to be inspirational. I wanted them to go out and beat Wooten because we needed to get it was midway through the varsity season, and god dang it, I wanted to play in the playoffs.
Hmm.
Didn't get the chance.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just how can you do anything you can to help your team out if maybe you're not playing as well as you think you could be, you're not getting the ice time, but how can you help your team out so that you can also have these experiences, because you're all part of one team, and it's makes a big difference if you have everybody on the same page.